Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Is
Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. We've reached the end of the work week edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and InForum.com. A Friday morning, it's going to get a little bit nicer out for the weekend. And then winter comes back to punch us right back in the face with baseball games beginning. The college baseball season actually begins today. Why wouldn't it have -5 out next week? Welcome to our show, everybody. As we're set to wrap up the week, I am Dom Izzo. Welcome to Hot Mike on a busy Friday. We got lots to get to today as we are ready to head into the weekend. Tournaments abound as we have state wrestling will crown champions later today up at the Dome, which is always an entertaining day. We have EDC hockey resuming today up in Grand Forks, as we'll figure out by tomorrow afternoon who are the 4 teams from the East that'll play next week at the state hockey tournament in Grand Forks on the boys' side. Of course, the girls, remember, have their own tournament this year, which is in 2 weeks' time in Minot. We've got a bunch of basketball to talk about. The Moorhead girls hockey team made some history last night with a win against Roseau. They will make the state girls hockey tournament. Moorhead will be represented for the first time in 17 years. So that's a generation. There's a whole generation now that has come and gone without Moorhead making the girls' state hockey tournament. That ended last night at about 9:30 up in Thief River Falls. We'll show you that here in just a little bit. The Bison football team has another staff member on the way out. Cody Morgan got a new job, the special teams coordinator and safeties coach. He is on his way to Kent State. We'll discuss that coming up as our show rolls on this morning. UND has a monster series beginning tonight against St. Cloud State. So we got a little bit of everything that we're going to discuss here on our show this morning. But as we do each and every Friday, we recap what we saw in the Summit League last night. And it was an eventful night on the men's and the women's side. We'll begin with the Bison men. We talked about this on Wednesday and yesterday, that North Dakota State final road trip of the season, and maybe its toughest one, Kansas City and Oral Roberts. Last night at the Swinney Rec Center, and frankly, they dominated this game from start to finish. Grant Nelson with an authoritative slam to start things for the Bison. Bowden Skunberg was again nails like he was in the game Saturday against Denver. Tajavis Miller really started to come of age. Big time 3 there. Put the Bison up 7. Again, up 5 here. Jakari White misses. Grant's there for the putback. Puts the lead right back to 7. I don't know how you leave Skunberg that wide open out of a timeout as well. He drills another 3. He made 3 of them last night. Skunberg had 17 points. Kansas City gets it to 8. Miller is really starting to find it here. He had 11 points last night. The lead 10. Look at this up and under move from Skunberg that was sweet. With under 6 minutes to go, the Bison get back up by 12. Then Nelson does what he so often can do. Backs a guy down, goes off the glass with some sweet touch. That got the lead to 13. And then Jakari White will put the finishing touches on a dominant Bison performance. The up and under move. That get the lead to 15, and North Dakota State goes into Kansas City and beats the Roos 69-58 is the final in a game they absolutely had to have if they want to be a top 3 seed. They get it last night, led by a double-double from Grant Nelson, 22 points and 14 rebounds. Bowden Skunberg goes for 17 points. on 3 made threes. He also added 7 boards. Kansas City, you see the shooting percentage was dreadful last night. Some excellent Bison defense. They hold the Roos just to 30% for the game. And that's how you win on the road, folks. That's what you need to do when you need to get a big-time performance. And they needed it last night. They get it in spades to get their 9th league win of the season. So, with that said, here are the up-to-date standings now in the conference race with 3 games remaining. Oral Roberts won last night. They squeaked it out against UND, and they win the outright championship. So it is over on the men's side. It was pretty much over, we knew, for a little bit, but now it is official with UND's win last night over North Dakota. By the way, a game that was decidedly over at halftime, that UND was down by 22, and then all of a sudden UND got back in the game, and before you know it, it was a 3-point game that UND had a chance down the stretch, and Oral Roberts ended up winning the game 73-70, as you can see there on our scoreboard last night. So the Golden Eagles win the Summit League Championship, and they will be the number 1 seed in Sioux Falls. And if somehow, some way, they do not win the Summit League Tournament Championship, they will be the automatic team to the NIT. I know they don't want any part of that. South Dakota State had to rally as well. The Jacks were down 18 at Denver last night and came back and beat the Pioneers. So SDSU holds the 2 spot. We can keep that up, Kyle. So SDSU stays at 2. The Bison move into the 3 spot, and now with a little bit of wiggle room here at 9 and 6, because Western Illinois and St. Thomas face off against each other on Saturday. So they remain at 8 and 7. Kansas City drops to 7 and 8 with that loss. They have UND coming in tomorrow night. South Dakota lost to Omaha last night. Omaha, by the way, had lost 9 in a row. We saw Omaha last Thursday. It looked like they weren't trying, folks. We'll just say it. That's a bad loss for the Coyotes, which now almost guarantees them that they are going to play in the play-in tournament at the Summit League tournament here in 2 weeks. UND holds the 8th spot. Then Omaha, with its win, moves out of the cellar, and they're actually ahead of Denver. Those 2 teams will play one another. Omaha and Denver will next week to wrap up the regular season. Reminder again, the Bison get Western Illinois and St. Thomas. You'll see that game statewide on ABC on WDAY next Thursday night between St. Thomas and the Bison men. So now, honestly, for NDSU, you're playing with house money going to the game tomorrow night. Knowing full well that UND gave Oral Roberts all they wanted and then some in that game last night. And we know the Bison men played well for a stretch against Oral Roberts on that game that they played here in Fargo back last month. So we'll see. But that was a monster win. They had to have it, and they absolutely got it last night. And now here they go again. After a stretch where they hadn't played very well, now the Bison have won 3 in a row with still 2 more games at home. And like we've been hammering on the women's side, which we'll get to in a second, if you want to be a chance to get to Tuesday night, that 2 or 3 seed is almost mandatory. It looks like the 2 is probably out of reach for the Bison. South Dakota State has a game with Omaha coming up on Saturday, and then they have Kansas City and Oral Roberts. That's what the Jacks have left in Brookings for their final 2 games of the regular season. Meanwhile, on the women's side last night, game you saw here on WDAY Extra, North Dakota State hosting Kansas City. Bison women in a tie for second starting the night, and in a bad way. They had lost 3 straight games entering this one, and honestly, folks, it did not look pretty for a majority of this game until the second half when Elle Evans started to really get cooking here for the Bison. Had the block there, then goes coast to coast, knocks down the jumper. Abby Schulte hits a big-time 3, cuts the lead to 1. Next possession, Heaven Hamlin got on fire in the second half, hits the 3. Bison now up by 2. just a minute into the fourth quarter. Hamling hits another three. She made a dynamite amount last night, 5 of 8 from three-point range. Then they go inside. Emily Banky was really solid. Despite playing with foul trouble, the nice hook shot down low, double-double for Banky. Evans drives. This is when Evans started to take over here. She had back-to-back baskets. That's the first one to put the Bison up 7. Then she collects and scores down low to put them up 9. And that pretty much put Kansas City away. If not for that, it was this from Hamling with a floater in the lane. She was fantastic in the second half. 21 points in all. And North Dakota State gets a much-needed win, 86-75 over Kansas City. Evans, by the way, another game in double figures for her. You see the 18 points and 5 rebounds. The Bison got 5 into double figures. Abby Graham had 11 off the bench. She was really good. You see the Banky double-double. The Bison ended up shooting 52% from the field and stop their 3-game losing streak and also get to 9-6 now in conference play with that win. And I'll say this about Kansas City. Game effort from them. They just play differently than how most teams do in the Summit League. They play 3 bigs, and for smaller teams like an Oral Roberts, and I'm looking at UND, they've already beaten UND earlier this season. That could be an issue. It gave the Bison some fits until NDSU finally figured out defensively. Mana Mensah was just great. You didn't see it in her highlights, but the dynamic guard from Kansas City, who's been averaging 23 a game over now a 4-game stretch. Last night she had 27 for the Roos in that loss. Meanwhile, in Grand Forks, no defense was played last night. Oral Roberts was up there. And again, starting the night, Oral Roberts, UND, and NDSU all tied at 8-6. And in this game, we'll show you the highlights here. It was phenomenal play on both sides. No defense. Casey Baravich, who hit a couple of threes. Three-pointers are not her. She's not shot the 3 well. She had a couple in the win Saturday over Omaha. Got going last night. Juliet Gordon, you leave her open, she's going to take it and drill it. You see it here. There's 30 seconds left in the third quarter. UND has 83 points. As DJ Davis off the bench knocks down the 3. Baravich again, another monster one. Again, they have 88 points just into the fourth quarter. Granted, this game, the first time they played against ORU was 95-91. So they've played some high-scoring games. They end up getting 108 last night. UND wins it 108-100 over Oral Roberts. The Fighting Hawks have now won 4 games in a row as they are not going anywhere in the Summit League women's standings. Oral Roberts loses its 3rd straight. Hannah Cooper at 32-10. She's going to be tough to watch. And yet they shot 53%. They scored 100 points and lost the game. That's tough. That is tough to swallow. I'm not sure how you wake up this morning if you're ORU and getting ready to play the Bison tomorrow and like, boy, we did all that, and yet you see what they did defensively, letting UND shoot 50% from three-point range, 47% from the field, as the Fighting Hawks get the win. So here are the up-to-date standings now on the women's side. South Dakota State routed again. Here's probably the most interesting stat of the entire season in the Summit League, folks, on the women's side, is that SDSU is going to probably average margin of victory in conference play is going to be 30 points. 30! Because last night was another boat race over Denver at Frost Arena in Brookings last night. So they're obviously in the clubhouse. They won by 48 points last night. UND has the tiebreaker over NDSU, and let me explain this quickly here. So if there's no head-to-head tiebreaker, which there isn't because they split the season series, then it goes to the next available tiebreaker, which right now would be USD. NDSU went 2-0 against USD. UND went 1-1. So right now, as you look at how the league standings sit, let me make sure that's correct. I want to double check on that because last I saw, I thought Oral Roberts was ahead of South Dakota on the tiebreakers here. Nope, that's right. Okay, so USD. So right now, if this is how it would finish, the tiebreaker advantage actually go to the Bison as the 2 seed. USD is 4th. South Dakota, by the way, don't overlook the Coyotes. They're still hanging around. They got a big win over Omaha last night. There's Oral Roberts, by the way. How about that? You lose, you go from 2nd to 5th if you ORU. Omaha and Denver, then it's 7 and 9. And then there's the bottom of the standings with Western, St. Thomas, and Kansas City. Mind you, the Bison go to Macomb and go to St. Paul next week. It's all right in front of NDSU. It really is. If they're able to take care of business, and it's a big one on Saturday, there's no doubt about what they have. But if the Bison are able to win against Oral Roberts tomorrow, then it's all for their 2 road games. And I know they've not played well on the road, and UND's got the same 3 with Kansas City, Western, and St. Thomas. But here's why we've been hammering the 2 seed. If you finish 2nd and the top team in your league goes to the NCAA tournament, the number 2 team gets an automatic invitation to the women's NIT. That's why it's so big for NDSU if they're able to get that. So it's going to be fun to follow. Tomorrow's game is going to be dynamite. I don't know if we're going to have 208 points like they did in Grand Forks last night, but it's sure going to be a big-time game coming up tomorrow. Much more on that as our show rolls on this morning. We are packed here on this Friday. Just a few minutes, Moorhead girls hockey head coach Ryan Kraft will join us. Not sure if he has a voice after last night, but the Spuds are off to state, as we mentioned, for the first time in 17 years. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. Logan Campbell will be by in her usual Friday time slot at 9:35. We'll recap what we just saw, look ahead to the weekend, whatever else we'd like to discuss coming up here in just a few minutes. At 10 o'clock, Brad Schlossman's back with us from the Grand Forks Herald. We mentioned we are down to the final couple weeks of the regular season. UND with a big series tonight against St. Cloud State. Just now, if they want to host in the opening round. Brad's got all the permutations on that. We'll dive into that coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, how about a live report from Florida? My dad is ready for the Daytona 500. He's on location. He'll be at the track tonight. We'll get a live check from Florida. I'm sure it won't be beautiful or anything like that. That's coming up at 10:35. Between that, we got a heck of a lot more to chat about, including our guy Cody Mauch, now a potential first-round NFL draft pick. He got a big-time endorsement on that this morning. So, other than that, we got not much going on. Hot Mike is off and rolling. We'll take a break. We'll visit with Ryan Kraft on the Spuds heading to state. That's when we come back on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra and InForum.com. Welcome back, everybody, on a busy Friday morning here on Hot Mike, WDAY Extra, InForum.com. We mentioned we've got state wrestling continuing today. We'll hand out some championships coming up later today. They begin at 3:30 up at the Fargo Dome. That should be action-packed for both Class A, Class B, and the girls. So we'll have full coverage of that coming up tonight at both our 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock newscasts. Also, last night, in case you missed it, a fabulous finish between Moorhead and Roseau in the 8AA girls section hockey final. The game that was supposed to be played on Wednesday. Of course, the blizzard comes through, and the game gets moved to last night. So let's show you what happened in the game at the Little Ralph in Thief River Falls, which was it's a great environment for hockey, and it proved to be just like that last night, where the Spuds got going early on. Bria Holm with a fabulous move on a power play goal. That gives Moorhead the lead. Roseau would answer to tie the game there at 1 in the second period. It stayed that way until the third, where the Spuds broke through there for the go-ahead goal. That made it a 2-1 Moorhead lead. They had to play some tight defense, got some big saves, and then an empty net goal to seal it as Moorhead would beat Roseau 3-1 to win the Section 8 AA championship and send the Spuds on to the state girls hockey tournament for the first time since 2006. And it is our pleasure to welcome on back on the show. I told them last year, if they win, we'll have them back on, and here they are. They won last night. I don't know if you've got a voice, Ryan Kraft, but congratulations, man. That was fun to see.
What a fun night. But yeah, voice is a little weak today. Eyes are a little droopy. Body's a little sore and tired, but it's all such a good feeling.
Tell me the emotions of the last few seconds. What's going through your mind on the bench last night?
Just the countdown. It's just that anticipation, that build up, and it just totally goes off. I mean, 17 years of frustration thrown out the window in a matter of seconds. And it's just, I've told everybody how thankful I am for everybody that has a hand in something like this, because it truly takes a village, from the coaches to the parents to the players to the ADs to the administrators to the trainers to the, to everybody that's involved in something like this. It's just, I'm so thankful.
I can still hear kind of a quiver in your voice now. I can hear the emotion still there right now.
Well, it's an emotional time. It really is. And it's really exciting because we have a great team who is playing their best hockey of the season. And we're excited about what the next week could hold for us.
I got to ask then, what was the bus trip back last night? What was that like?
Country dance party. I guess that would be the theme I would use.
Describe the performance from your team last night. You knew full well Roseau was going to throw everything at you. You know them as well as anybody. How well do you think your team played last night?
I thought we played outstanding. Once we got past the jitters and the nerves, we gave up 15 shots again. I mean, anytime you're giving up 5 shots on average per period, you're doing a lot of things right. And we knew Roseau would come with a push right away at the beginning of the game. They're a young, inexperienced, but highly talented team. So we knew that they were going to try to throw that knockout punch in the first couple rounds. They have a situation where they like to roll their top 2 lines. So we knew those top 2 lines were going to be on the ice every other shift for the majority of the game. And we just knew that if we could wear them down with our depth and try to figure out a way to win it in the third, we would be okay. And that's pretty much what happened.
Kate Kozubud scores the game-winning goal. That's obviously a familiar hockey name in Moorhead. Describe that goal and what she's meant to your team.
Well, she's just a I don't know how to say it. She's just a catalyst for our defensemen. I mean, she makes people better hockey players when she's on the ice, and that's the true sign of a good hockey player. So to see her get rewarded with that goal last night, and then add the empty netter for us, it's a really good feeling as a coach.
All right, so now the pads don't go away. You still got more practices. Tell me what's today like? I mean, you get the day off, or you're right back on the rink today?
Well, we actually got the girls up and out of bed, and we did our 7:15 workout like we normally do. It's a routine now, and honestly, the girls didn't complain, they didn't whine, they didn't say, "Hey, coach, can we sleep in tomorrow?" They got up, they got to the workout, and they got their work in. So we'll do that. We'll take a quick team photo today, update
Nice.
for the state tournament, and then we'll have a light skate, but it's just staying in the routine now. I don't know how much modifications we're going to do, how much systems work we actually need. We'll continue to try to fine tune our power play and our penalty kill, but just continue to stay loose and have fun and enjoy the last week of the season.
All right, so now is tomorrow when you'll find out, when the seeding happens and you'll find out exactly who you're going to play?
I think it's Sunday morning.
Oh, Sunday,
for some
okay.
reason. I could be wrong about that, but I haven't gotten any information. We're still waiting for 3 sections to finish up.
Okay.
Section 2, I think, is Minnetonka Holy Family. They played tonight. Edina and Blake, I think, play tonight. And that's Section 6. And then Section 5, Maple Grove and Centennial have their finals. So once those games wrap up, I think I'll have a better idea of when that seeding meeting will happen.
Well, one way or the other, though, you're playing Thursday night. So,
yes, we are.
Yes,
we are.
Just describe now for the next couple days of the anticipation of that. Obviously, you got a hockey game, but there's going to be a lot of hullabaloo around this, man. And just to tell the team to enjoy, it's a generation that has never been to the state hockey tournament here on the girls' side.
I think that was the one thing that really hit home last night when we were all standing out on the ice, and Olivia Dronen skates up to me with these big crocodile tears, and she looks at me and she says, "I've never been to a state tournament." And it's just some of these girls to have that experience is so rewarding from a coach's perspective.
Does that mean the shirts can come back out for you on the bench at the XL Energy Center next Thursday? Can you do that?
I think the shirts are packed away for the season. At least I hope they are.
How about for you? You've played professionally. You've played all over the world, though. What do you think the emotions will be like for you next Thursday night at the bench at XL Energy Center?
Excited, a little nervous. I think pretty relaxed. I mean, we got to the state tournament. Yeah, we want to go down and do some damage, but I'm pretty confident in my team right now and the way that we're playing, especially on the defensive side of the puck. Crescent seeing the puck well. We just got a lot of really good things going. So I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy watching my team compete and have fun with the moment.
Now, I know you don't care when, but is there any advantage of, hey, we want to play that first game? The Spud boys have always been stuck with that last game, like the 8:30 start. Do you have a preference if you get one?
Well, ideally, I think that 1 o'clock game on Thursday is the ideal one. I think 11 o'clock, it tends to be, a little too early. And that's certainly that 8 o'clock one. I mean, I don't know that 8 o'clock game has ever started at 8 o'clock. It's always 8:30 or 8:45 or 9 or even later if the 6 o'clock game goes
exactly
into overtime.
Right.
So,
yep.
Obviously, it really doesn't matter at this point. We're just so excited to have the opportunity to compete on that stage against the best teams in the state, and we're gonna have a blast with it.
What do you? I know they always turn out well for any Moorhead team. I have to imagine the turnout fan-wise. I know it was good last night. It's going to probably be great next week.
It was very good, and I would expect that it's going to be good again. And somebody, I think it was Coach Selvable, told me last night that there were over 3,500 views on Spuds TV last night.
Yep.
So that means that 3,500 devices are watching the game, which means each device, probably 2, 3, 4 people on each device. So, that game meant a lot to a lot of people last night. And I'm so happy we were able to pull it out.
To go from 2 wins 4 years ago to this, I mean, I know we talked about this on Tuesday. Is this even beyond your timeline of what you wanted to do success-wise?
I think we're a little bit ahead of schedule, but 4 years is a good amount of time. And I give a lot of the credit to the kids and the families. I think I walked into a pretty darn good situation with, the young talent that was coming up and how competitive these kids and families are. And it's just, I keep getting told by a lot of people that just needed someone to bring it all together. And I thank my coaching staff for all the work that they put in. And, it's certainly been challenging at times. It's been heartbreaking at times, but it's been extremely rewarding most of the time.
Well, enjoy this for as long as you can. I know you're going to get into game planning here in the not too distant future, but the best part is you got a whole community behind you there that couldn't be more excited. As a Moorhead resident, I'm pretty pumped for you guys as well. So congratulations, enjoy this, and let's do this again next week. All right.
Well, let's hope we play well enough to bring home some hardware, and I would be happy to do this again next week.
Sounds good, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Ryan Kraft, Moorhead girls hockey coach. The Spuds off to state after an electric 3-1 win over Roseau last night. They will find out who they're playing, as you heard Ryan say, on Sunday. The AA tournament begins on Thursday with games at 11, 1, 6, and 8 o'clock at XL Energy Center. The A tournament begins on Wednesday. So here we go. Congratulations to the Moorhead girls, off to state. First time in 17 years. We're due for a break. We'll take one here. Logan Campbell will be by. Chat plenty about what we saw last night in hoops. Whatever else we got going on, we'll do that. It's Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra and InForum.com. Don't forget, we've got the season finale in wrestling coming up on Sunday. North Dakota State, South Dakota State from the BVF, old school. Should be a great environment Sunday, each vying for a share of a Big 12 Conference Championship. The Border Bell at stake. Should be a fun afternoon. Join us here on the X, 2 o'clock for that one between the Jackrabbits and the Bison. It's not restricted to just football and basketball for a heck of a rivalry, and that's certainly kicked up here over the last couple of years in wrestling. Logan Campbell is here in studio in her usual Friday time slot. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
That was the word I would describe for the women's game last night would be interesting. It was not pretty. There was nothing pretty about last night's game.
It was kind of weird. We were sitting there on the side, and everyone was like, "This kind of reminds us of last year a little bit." It was just a very slow game, which we haven't really seen at home this season yet.
No, everything's a grind right now. I think Jory said that to you post-game. He said in the press conference afterwards as well that just nothing is coming easily for them offensively. But that's a game I would say last year they certainly would have lost. Mm-hmm. But they, like other times this year, they found a way to win it when they absolutely needed to. And now is the way things sit in the standings now. You win out, you have the 2 seed. And why that's important, again, I'll reiterate this for people that don't know. If you finish second and the top team in your league makes the NCAA tournament, I think we're all on board. I think SDSU still makes the NCAA tournament if somehow they lose in the Summit League tournament. I think they get an at-large bid. If that does not happen, then NDSU as the 2 would get the automatic bid to the women's NIT. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
That would be huge.
It doesn't mean they have a home game, but it means you're in the tournament, and that's a big deal.
Have they ever been in the NIT? Yeah,
no.
That's a big deal.
They have not played a postseason game since moving up to Division I.
And to have the turnaround from last year to this year to do that would be pretty incredible.
I even think if they finish third, there's an outside chance they could get in, but that depends on how things go here the rest of the way. Getting the cart way before the horse. Not way before, but we're getting still before
it's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way out.
Well, the game Saturday is, after seeing what we showed the highlights of what happened last night in Grand Forks, 208 combined points.
Well, I was looking at the score. I was like, no, there's no way. Yeah. There's no way.
Yep.
And I was talking to you about this off air. What do they get up in Grand Forks if they reach 100 points? That is the big question for me.
I don't know what the free giveaway is.
But also, if you think about it, putting up 100 points, you're going to be kind of tired coming into the shack on Saturday, no?
I would think, here's the thing. Oral Roberts, they boat raced the Bison the first time they played down in Tulsa. You won by 22, I think was the score, 75-53, I think it was. Bison did not shoot. NDSU is a different team at home. Much like UND is. I think much like everybody in this league is way different at home than they are on the road. So it's going to be senior day tomorrow. They're going to honor 3 players. Taylor Brown, Emily Banky, Rachel Novak are going to be honored before the game. It's not a done deal from what Jory Collins was telling me on Emily Banky being done. I think there's still going to be some conversations when the season is done to see if she wants to come back. And seeing what she did last night, that would be a huge added piece for 2024.
They need as many bodies back last year to continue building because Jory said, we want this to be a winning program. Yeah. You got to return the girls. I'm going up there at noon to talk with Banky, so we'll see if she'll tell me a little bit more, but we'll see.
Well, she's got a big, she's about to get married. She's graduating, so there's a lot going on. There's the bigger stuff than just, I want to play another year of basketball. Yeah. And that is a huge difference, I think. And this is not a sexist or gender comment. That I think for guys would be automatic. Yep, let's go on a play. And for women, I think it's like, well, you know what? I've done 4 years. I give my contribution. I'm ready to move on. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I think just women realize there's things outside of sports.
Yeah, right. And that's fine.
And I think that if everything comes to an end at some point, you just got to figure out when that right end is for you.
If I was, and I had to stay an extra year because of academics, but if I had to. Would I stay another year if I got a chance to play? Probably, but you're just delaying life. Life is coming one way or the other.
I had that realization in high school. Like, I could have played soccer at a Division I school. I was getting recruited, and I was like, I'm just done. Like, I'm done with the athletic life. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I wish I kind of did it. But then I'm like, okay, I want to have like the normal college life, get to do normal things, and just move on and have sports be involved in my life some other way. Here we are.
It'll be interesting to see what goes down there. The Bison men got a monster win last night at Kansas City. That snapped a 3-game losing skid, by the way, to the Roos. They got swept last year by Kansas City and then lost the game in Fargo. Now they've won 3 in a row. I mean,
huge.
Here we go. Now, and they have 2 more still at home. They're not beating Oral Roberts. They're not going to win the game on.
You see the UND game?
I know. I still don't think they're going to beat Oral Roberts. If they do, then they're locked into the 3. There's no way they're going to drop below 3 if they are able to win
the
that.
2 games at home are going to also be dogfights, I think, to the
Absolutely.
Because they did not beat them earlier this season.
Nope, they got swept by Western and St. Thomas. But again, on the men's side, like it is on the women, nobody plays well on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And especially those 2 teams.
Yeah.
Western and St. Thomas are not good away from Macomb and St. Paul. So I would take that. I would take the Bison there. And
I would too, but
Dave Richmond always has his teams playing the best this late in the year.
Yeah.
They're always ascending, and it looks like it's happening again.
and that's the right time to do it heading into the tournament.
Absolutely. That's why it's next week is going to be wild to see how what's going to figure out. You were especially jumpy coming in today because apparently your football team is making a hire. Is that the rumor
Word
out
on
here?
the street is there is mutual interest on Kansas City's offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy's side and Washington's side for him to be the new offensive coordinator in Washington, which I'm pumped about. If that happens,
why would you do that? Why would he do that?
That's the thing. Everyone's like, what is wrong with him? He wants to go to Washington, but here's the thing. Obviously, the end goal is to be a head coach somewhere. Not saying that's going to happen in Washington, but he has full control of the offense in Washington, which he didn't necessarily have in Kansas City.
Yeah, Indy recalls the plays there.
So that's pretty big.
Huh.
And we need someone there that knows what they're doing, obviously. So I'm excited
But
about
here's
it.
the thing. He's worked with Patrick Mahomes. Who's the guy he's working with in Washington?
Sam Howell.
That is
A little bit of a difference.
I will bet you that's not Washington's quarterback on opening
They
day.
literally just put out an article today saying he's the guy heading into camp. Okay, but it's heading into camp, so we'll see what happens. But they said they're not going to make any off-season moves. We'll see if that stays true.
No, I would not believe that at all.
Okay, so who do you think? Derek Carr?
Maybe. There's going to be guys out there. There are definitely going to be options out there. There always is. Yeah.
No one gets me excited.
Huh?
No one gets me excited. I think they should definitely draft someone, but I don't
yeah,
know.
I agree
I don't
with
know
that.
necessarily who.
Well,
I don't know. There are so much they need to do over there, and they are like, we're rebuilding. We are rebuilding. Well, how many years are going to rebuild for before you actually start doing something?
So Todd McShay in his mock that came out earlier this week has the Commanders taking a cornerback, Devin Witherspoon from Illinois, at corner, which, Washington defense was also not great last season. So
that also doesn't excite me.
Doesn't do anything for you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know
Understood.
if anything will ever excite me, though, like for right now.
It's Washington
Besides
Commander football,
the
right?
offensive coordinator hiring.
Well,
that's a good start.
Just when you see, obviously with Bieniemy's track record, what he's done, but he's had the most electric player in the game over the last 5 years to
there's
work
no
with.
doubt.
So, I mean,
No doubt.
I don't know if that translate to
I don't
whoever
know.
is going to be calling
But
the
you
run of
could
the show
start
at
with the
Washington.
youngest player and start building him up, and maybe he could help Sam Howell reach his full potential.
I'm not sold on Sam Howell being
You're just a
starting
hater.
NFL quarterback. Well, here's the thing. I mean, we were talking about this when Kyle was in studio on Tuesday with the story that came out right before the Super Bowl. Looks like the Commanders are obviously going to move on from Carson Wentz, which is, I mean, I don't think that's shocking news to either one of us. But the question now is, and I think for a lot of people back here wondering, what's next for Carson? I don't know. You've had chances to start at 3 separate places, and it has not worked in either. It just hasn't. Indianapolis, his stats were his last year healthy in Philly, really good. Last year is 1 year in Indianapolis, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. It's just turned out that the 2 games that his teams have needed him the most, he has performed the worst. The regular season finale in 21 with the Colts, and then what was it, the last game this year against the Browns? He threw 3 picks.
Yep. But in his defense, though, Ron Rivera said he didn't know that game meant anything. He thought the season was over.
That's mind-numbing. I don't know how you can.
I don't know either, and that also makes me nervous about what's going on there. But I was just, when I saw that, I was like, how do you not know that when everyone else knows that? I even knew that. Like, so many people, my sisters who know nothing about sports knew that. And I was
knew that it was a big game?
Yes.
That it meant something?
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. But my question is, do you think Carson would accept like a backup role anymore?
Well, I don't know if he's going to have an option other than that.
I could see someone just picking him up as like a safety option in case someone gets hurt and you need someone just to go in the game. But I don't see anyone going out and doing what Washington did for him last
training
season.
for him? No. I don't believe that's going to be the case.
And that's what everyone was saying. This is his time, his redemption story time, and it just didn't happen.
Friend of the show, Jim Nagy, you may have heard of him. He's the guy who runs the Senior Bowl, tweeted at me this morning about video with Cody Mauch.
I saw that.
Cody Mauch played left tackle at NDSU, but repped all 5 O-line spots at the Senior Bowl, proving he's the only prospect in the 2023 draft with legit 5-position versatility. Check out the somersault finish. Yes, big man athlete. Do not be shocked when Cody Mauch goes round 1.
Kansas City,
round 1.
Come. Versatility. We love versatility. That's huge, though. And the Senior Bowl significantly improved his draft stock.
We were down this same road last year with Christian Watson that went from, I think, probably at the time he was a early day 3 guy to then he was being talked about at the end of the first round and then goes to the early second round.
Positions.
Yeah.
That's insane. And what athlete can say they can do that?
Yeah, and we saw it. We did the highlights and we talked to his dad. It was 2 weeks ago today and then he got named the practice player of the week. I think all he did, as you mentioned, was just help whatever stock. Now, the fun part comes this time next week. He'll leave for Indianapolis and the Combine. And that's where, if you haven't won him over yet, that's where you have the final chance to do that. And you sit down with this guy, and I have the interviews. He's going to knock it out of the park there.
He's going to be fine.
Anything athletic-wise on the field, he'll be fine. That's where I think he can win him over, is sitting like we're doing, talking face to face.
He's already winning everyone over on social media. Yeah. When everyone tweets out pictures, videos.
The Stromboli comment went over well when how he added 80 pounds.
Exactly. Like he is like, the same thing happened with Cordell when people are seeing these videos of him.
Yep.
Same thing's happening with Cody. Like everyone is just loving him. And I could definitely see him going in the first round.
It's going to be crazy. Before we go, the Wizards beat the Timberwolves last night. That's horrible.
Did they? I also don't pay attention to
Are you done? You're out on Washington Wizards basketball?
Honestly, I've never been a Wizards fan. I've been more of a Celtics fan. I don't know why.
The Wolves were up 20 in the first quarter and lost by 8. They got outscored 38-19 to Washington in the fourth quarter.
Wizards. I went to one Wizards game my grandpa took me when I was younger.
That's bad loss.
And I was like, I would like to go home. I did not. They were losing really bad. And everyone, like 3 games in, they'll win the first 3 games. Everyone's like, oh, this is the year. I'm like, guys, it is a Washington team. No, it is not.
I more like the fact that I still call them the Bullets. I miss that, the Washington Bullets.
So it's funny you say that because Snapchat has Snapchat memories come up.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like we'd have these random days. Like my friend, so when I lived in Arlington, I had a house with 5 girls and our neighbors were a house of 5 guys. We became good friends. We would go out. And one of them had like all these like vintage jerseys and he had a Bullet jersey.
Oh, wow.
And my friend Dom, she put on, we would go out and wear his jerseys. It was so weird. I don't know why we did that, but we did. And we came home and she was like, what is this? I was like, oh, like that's a Bullets jersey. She goes, is that a real team or is this like a fantasy team? I'm like, oh my gosh, Dom. Like, no, that's a real team. She goes, oh, sweet. I'm like, all right. Well.
You probably have a hard time describing that there were teams, there's a team nicknamed the Bullets, or I'm sure in your area, maybe not, that I'm not going to say the offensive nickname, that for people that are born now or that are 5 or 6 years old, they have no idea that was the team name.
No.
Is it still pretty prevalent around?
The football team or the Commanders' old name, yes, that one is very much still that. People still wear stuff like that.
Do people still call them that?
Yeah, the Bullets, no, it's the Wizards. Because that was a while ago that they changed that, but the Commanders is so new.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, if Wild Bill is watching the show, thanks for the
cup.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. That had the old logo on it. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely still very much part of that history, and people were upset that it was changing, which people hate change. But that one is still, you still see that one. Bullets you don't really see anymore.
It's still commonly referred to there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know
because
I haven't been there.
But like in your time home though, and you're still seeing that.
I think Washington is just what everyone's calling it now. They're not really calling it Commanders, just Washington.
I would have gone with football team. That was perfect.
I would have stuck with that too.
That was all right.
People were liking it too. By the end of the season,
it was starting to catch on.
That's what I'm saying. But then I'm like, if they sell, do they redo everything once again?
I don't know.
I could see it if they move the stadium too. I could see a total rebrand again. The big thing was no one wanted them to change the colors, which they were apparently considering changing the colors.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Alumni were not happy about that.
I wouldn't have done that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No. But they should go back to the old burgundy. That's my only thing.
What is it now?
Like it's more like it's more red than like the burnt red. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I thought it was still that burgundy color, but all right. All right. Anything else you got for us? Big plans this weekend?
What do I have going on this weekend? No.
Besides
besides Oral Roberts and NDSU women's basketball. That's my big plan
this weekend. That's the big plans this weekend.
Just laying low.
All right.
Getting my life together.
Before you head out on the road, because after next week, then you're going to be on the state tournament patrol, I hear.
I actually think the only weekend I'll be in Fargo in March is the Class A tournament. That's going to be the only weekend I'll be here in March.
That's
I'm excited,
though.
though.
Logan's going to be sideline reporting for the basketball tournaments for the girls Class B in Minot, the Super A here in Fargo, and then the boys B in Bismarck. So you get the grand tour of the state.
I've been saying I've always wanted to get out west and see the western part of the state, so I'm excited to see that.
Well, there you go. So that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yes,
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you tomorrow. Logan Campbell joining us each and every Friday. We'll wrap up hour one. Brad Schlossman on deck. UND hockey. They've got a tournament gone here with only a couple weekends left. We'll visit with him. We start hour two on a Friday morning of Hot Mike. We're back after this. All right, wrapping up hour one here. Still got plenty of good stuff to come, including a live report from Daytona. The 500 this weekend. My dad is there. Can you ask for anything more than that? When we come back, we'll chat some UND hockey. Big couple of weekends left for UND to try and salvage its season. Brad Schlossman joins us when we come back to start hour two right after this.
Networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. Time to chat some hockey.
Shot score! North Dakota wins!
The best college hockey writer in the country is on deck.
North Dakota, champions of the college hockey world.
Here's Brad Schlossman.
Oh, it's a good time of year where everything is up for grabs in hockey. We talked about it earlier with the Moorhead girls off to state for the first time in 17 years. We have the boys section tournament in Minnesota getting underway. The boys state tournament is at the Ralph next weekend as we welcome back Brad Schlossman to our show. The UND hockey team has just 3 weeks remaining in the regular season and a lot of work to do as we welcome Brad on this Friday morning for the series with St. Cloud State. What is there... Give me a few words to describe this season. Uneven comes to mind. Inconsistent. What else for you when I ask that question?
Inconsistency is the first one that comes to mind. You know, for UND, they've scored enough. Their power play has been the best I've ever seen it here. Their penalty kill's been really good, but they give up way too many goals, and the goaltending has not been consistent. We've seen some nights the goaltending has been fantastic, and then it blows up again. And, it just feels like you go into each night having no idea what's coming from that position there. And defensively, the guys haven't always helped them out. There have been guys that haven't defended well, turnovers. But I also think sometimes the turnovers get magnified when the goalie's not there bailing a few of them out every game. So it's not all on the goaltenders. That defensively they need to be a little bit better, but certainly goaltending has to be better too. And it's just because night to night you don't know what you're going to get.
I know you know this stat. I was just doing this before you came on air. 8 times this season UND has allowed 5 goals or more. 8. I mean it's hard to win.
It really shouldn't be that hard to hold a team under 3. And 3 should be about the, a lot of hockey these days, it's a race to 3.
Yep.
You get to 3, you're probably going to win. And that just has not been the case for UND. They'll give up 3 in the first period some games, and then they're chasing the game. Offensively, they've been good enough to come back from some of those deficits. Like, they can score in a hurry, and especially if you take power plays. But you just cannot go on deep runs in the playoffs. And as we found out, you can't go on runs in the regular season either if you're giving up that many goals a game. And so that's really the big challenge. When the goaltending's there and the defense is all right, this team's winning. And they've showed they're able to beat anyone. They went on the road and were a minute from sweeping Minnesota and Mariucci Arena.
Yep.
They got great goaltending that weekend. So it's inconsistent is the word that definitely comes to mind for me.
They start the night 7th in the NCHC out of 8 teams. I mean, it's simple to say they have to win all 6, but just when you look at even for home ice for the NCHC, how difficult is that? And I know we talked about this off air. All the teams they're playing are ahead of them in the standings, but they haven't shown the ability to string multiple wins together.
Yeah, they're trying to get in the top 4 for home ice right now. Right. It's a steep hill to climb. They need to make up, I believe it's 12 points in 18 games. Not easy to do. However, as you said, 2 of their final 3 series are the teams they're chasing. So they can, within the next 48 hours, they can cut that in half. And all of a sudden it's 6 points with 4 games to go if they sweep St. Cloud State. So it's doable because of who they play. But they need to have some sort of consistency. And it starts tonight, which is going to be difficult. UND will not have Tyler Clevin.
Yeah.
He's been arguably their best defenseman this year, shutdown defenseman. And against a team that can score quite a bit of goals, you really want Tyler Clevin. And that's a really tough loss. When they went to St. Cloud in December, they didn't have Ethan Frisch.
Right.
And they were porous defensively without him. So they got to find a way to win without Clevin tonight.
Let me ask you about that, because you and I know Clevin, even from his high school days, how aggressive he is. How much has that hindered him here in college? Is that something that not necessarily hold him back in the NHL, but how much has that really hurt him in the college game?
Yeah, I think it's been there's been 2 ways to look at it. Number one, he's got a reputation, and some of the calls he's getting are calls that other guys in the league are not going to. I think we saw it on Saturday. Connor Capone goes and takes a run at Gavin Hayne. It's a minor. And I think part of it is Clevin is so big and strong that 2 guys can make the exact same hit, but it looks so much worse when Clevin makes the hit because the guy's going to go flying.
Because he's so huge.
Because he's so big and he's so strong.
Right.
And so I think some of the calls I'm watching, and I'm like, there's nobody else in the league who gets a major for this. Now, on the other side, at this point, you also have to know that these are going to be called against you, and you probably have to let up and not make certain hits. You can't put yourself in position to make these calls. If Tyler Clevin, physicality is a big part of his game. If he completely takes that out of his game, for the most part, he can still be a really, really good player because he is skilled, he is strong, he can get pucks out, he can defend, he can skate. So there are certain points where I think he has to know, hey, if there's anything even in doubt, it's going to be a major, and he's going to be gone, and he's going to be gone for the next game. So I do think he is getting calls that other guys don't. I also think you have to be aware that you're going to get calls that other guys don't, and you have to adjust your game.
That's tough. I mean, he's a great player, but when you have a reputation like that, it's almost like they're looking for you, right? The referees are looking for you, right?
Well, yeah, and I think they see a big hit. Oh, 25?
Right.
Yep. That's probably a major. Yeah. So it's a tough situation, because physicality is a big part of his game.
Well, I can remember
like I said,
in high school, Brad, sorry to interrupt, like he would have that where he would send guys flying, and automatically it would be a penalty just because he's twice the size of some guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying some of them aren't legit calls, but just when a guy flies off a guy like that, sometimes it's just momentum and physics.
Yeah. And that's where I'm sure, he's going to sign after this year and go pro. And it'll be interesting to see at the pro level.
Yeah.
You're dealing with older, stronger guys. The hits probably aren't going to look as big. But yeah, no, that's certainly been, that's his fourth major in game misconduct this year.
Man.
If you get 3, you're automatically suspended for the next game. And everyone after that, you're automatically suspended. So anytime he gets one, he's out, and it's hurt. He was suspended for a game against Western Michigan this year, and they gave up a ton of goals.
7, yeah.
He was suspended for a game against Miami, and they posted a shutout that game. So, obviously vastly different scoring ability teams there, but UND is going to have to find a way to win without him tonight.
Is it time for the organizers at Shields Arena to be panicking? Because with where UND's at right now,
I'm sure they've been panicking since January or December. The odds are they're not going to make the tournament. They can do it, but if you're looking at strict odds, is it over 50%? No. They need to find some sort of, as we said, they need to find some sort of consistency. They can get in that large, but they probably are going to have to win their last 6 games. So to me, odds are higher that they win the tournament because now you're looking at 4 games, and you don't even need to win the first 2 consecutively. It's a best of 3 series. You get into the semifinals, you get into the finals.
Yeah.
Those are going to be at a neutral site, which there will probably be a lot of green in the stands. So anything can happen, but the only way that happens is if you have some consistency. You need to get good goaltending. One of their, Drew DeRidder needs to get on a roll, and then they'll have a chance.
I know fans are always upset about everything, but you obviously are the pulse of this. What do you get a sense? Is it frustration, anger, both from the fan base of how the last half of the season has gone?
Yeah, it's been the whole season kind of in certain ways. This hasn't been a new thing down the stretch. It's kind of been the way things have been the whole year. And I think you kind of have been waiting for it to snap out of it. Last year, Zach Driscoll came over. He was at average in the first half of the year. Come January,
really good.
He settled in and he was unbelievably good. He had like a .930 save percentage the last 2 months of the year. And they they went on an incredible run. They didn't even have Jake Sanderson, and they were trotting out some decimated lineups and winning, and they end up winning the league. And I think there was kind of you can see these elements in this team. You can see some of the skill level, the way they score, their power play. And it was, when is this team going to click and hit that run? And they just haven't. So, time's running out, and they better come fairly quick if they're going to be in Fargo.
I love the story on Jackson Blake of you can read it at GrandForksHerald.com, just of how he became so skilled with the puck, which seems almost, I don't know if it's simplistic to say since his dad was a great player, but it's really interesting to see how the tools of that started when he was so young.
Yeah, he had the ability to hang out around NHL dressing rooms, and
that helps.
He talked about skating with Bobby Ryan in Anaheim, and Bobby Ryan would show him little tricks with the puck. He watched Teemu Selanne. He said he loved playing the NHL video game, and he said they would do tricks, and he'd see something, and then he'd go outside and try to replicate it. And but you can tell he is an unbelievable stick handler.
Yeah.
When he has the puck, he can go through guys. It's so hard to get it from away from him, and he's really a smart and electric player, and he's having quite the freshman season. If he's at 33 points in 29 games, so he's over a point per game average, and if he keeps that up, since the Ralph was built in 2001, the only freshmen to have point per game averages are Zach Parise, Brady Murray, TJ Oshie, and Brock Besser. So he's joining some pretty good company there if he's able to, close it out, which I suspect he will.
Those guys are all right. Those guys they can play.
Okay.
They can play. They're not too bad. I read the story on Gage Osmus when I was at the Shack last night getting ready before the Bison game. obviously a super well-known guy from the area, from East Grand Forks, who led the Green Wave, obviously led UND their last national championship. For those that haven't read the story, I encourage you to read it at grandforksherald.com. I really thought, Brad, what he said was eye-opening, especially for guys our age, that just go get checked, because he just did that, and it may have saved his life.
For sure. Yeah. Gage was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And he caught it early. Yeah. And the one thing his doctor kept telling him was, thank God you came in and got this taken care of. And he said, he knows how guys are. It's, he said he felt fine. That's the thing. He felt great. There were no side effects. It was, but he said a lot of times when guys are in that spot, they just decide not to go in. And that's when it gets worse and worse and worse. And so he just, he shared his story because he wanted to share that message that, hey, go in. If you feel something, don't let it sit there and get worse. Go in, get it taken care of, and you can have a good outcome. And he's confident he's going to have a good outcome. So good for him for going in and getting that taken care of and sharing that message with others.
Yeah, I was going to say, good on him to share the message as well. I think always that just knowledge is power for everybody. And I think that was really well done on him. Before I let you go, is there a team or a couple that could spoil the party that are outside of the norm to make it into the Frozen Four, to make it to Tampa this year? Is there a couple you're thinking, boy, they could get hot?
Yeah, the one interesting part about this year is there are the teams at the top, but it really feels like it's fairly wide open. And one of the big reasons I think it is because of the transfer portal. And what it's done is it's allowed teams to fill in gaps or holes with ready to go players. And so I think everyone's good. I think in past, you lose 4 to 5 defensemen and they're seniors. Now all of a sudden you have to have all these freshmen come in, and you're not going to win with 5 freshman D-men. Well, now you don't need to do that anymore. You can go grab 2 seniors to plug in there and you're right back. And so I think the bar has been raised by everyone, and that's going to make it really interesting. If there's one team that's not like in the top 10, that's a team to watch out for. I think it's Northeastern because they have the best goalie in the country. Devin Levi is an absolute game changer, and he can win a game on any night. So that is one team that you may see low in the pairwise or have a low seed in the tournament that nobody's going to want to play because Devin Levi can get locked in. We saw it at the Bean Pot on Monday. He won it for Northeastern. He was sensational. And that's what he can do. So that might be a team to watch.
I flipped that on, actually. I saw your Twitter feed. I'm like, oh, we got overtime or a shootout. I got to check out the end of the Bean Pot. He's really, I've not seen him before. He's all right. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I got into a shootout in Harvard. Harvard is loaded, by the way. Harvard has more NHL draft picks on their team than any team in college hockey this year. So they are loaded. They got a first rounder in Matt Coronado. He scored twice. And they come down on the shootout. And those guys had nothing to shoot at. Absolutely nothing. Like, he was so good in that shootout. And even before, with 10 seconds left, Coronado gets the puck on his tape in the slot and just kicks aside a toe save. I mean, he's a special goalie. He's one of the best ones I've seen come through college hockey. I would put him up there with, Jeremy Swayman was really good a couple of years ago. There have been, Spencer Knight was really good for Boston College. He's right in there with those guys.
Before I let you go, I got to give a shout out to a sport that doesn't get a ton of attention. I know you love. UND's men's tennis team is rolling here as they get set for Summit League play coming up next month. They're unbeaten. Stupid question. Is this the best team they've ever had? And what can they do by the end of the year here?
Yeah, it's going to be – they just keep winning matches. I think the coaches were optimistic they were going to be pretty good this year. One interesting thing to me is in the era of the transfer portal, they were able to keep some of these guys together for a handful of years. And I don't know if this is a unique way of recruiting in the transfer portal era, but they've recruited a lot of freshmen out of the portal. So I think they've found that guys don't like to transfer twice.
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they come after their freshman year and you get them for 3 years. And that's what they've had this core together for 2-3 years now. And a lot of them are transfers. Some of them are freshmen they recruit, but a lot are transfers, and they've been really, really good. They've won some close ones. They beat Marquette in the down the wire one last week. And, if they happen to get through this weekend, which is going to be a real tough one because they're busting to like Chicago and playing a match right when they get there, that can't be good. They could find themselves in the rankings, but no, they've been really good. And I saw after they beat Marquette, even the clinching match, Riley Odell with a great racket toss after he won. I might have to tweet that out. I've got the video of it.
Yes, get it out there. Those are always good.
I'll send that out today.
Life in a low revenue sport, like where you got to hop in a bus and then get right off and play, man. That's tough, but they're doing, especially in this weather, in this climate, to be this good at it, man. That's something else, and something I'm eager to see how it plays out here over the next couple months. Thanks so much always for the time, bud. Enjoy the weekend. We'll do this again next week, okay?
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Good to see you, bud. Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald, the best college hockey writer in the country, and we get him on our show. UND St. Cloud State tonight at 7. That's on CBS Sports Network, so national TV for Fighting Hawks and the Huskies tonight from the Ralph. We're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up on a couple things here. Update you from the golf course. Tiger Woods is playing. Tom Hoagie goes this afternoon. We'll update you on all that when Hot Mike returns right after this. All right, welcome back here. Our thanks to Brad for coming on. In case you missed it last night, Pete Thamel from ESPN first report that North Dakota State will have another coaching assistant opening. Special teams coordinator and safeties coach Cody Morgan is leaving to take the same position at Kent State. Morgan has been with the Bison since 2016. He was an offensive quality control coach for 2 years, then moved in to coach the corners starting in 2018, which he held for a couple years for taking on the role of special teams and safeties. And now, as if it was already a total overhaul or revamp on the back end of the Bison defense, that pretty much makes it complete, considering the amount of guys that obviously have left, knowing that the Bison were saying goodbye to Michael Tutsi and Dawson Weber. Dom Jones left in the transfer portal. Courtney Eubanks and Marquis Siegel also went into the portal. Destin Talbert graduated. That only leaves Lewis Walker, who was hired last year as the cornerbacks coach, and Jaden Price as the only returners on the back end of the Bison defense. Ironically enough, and I love how college football coaching is always connected, Morgan goes to Kent State, where Kenny Burns was hired as the head coach in December. You know that name. Burns was the wide receivers coach here in Fargo for 4 years under Craig Bohl. He comes from the University of Minnesota. He spent the last 6 years with the Gophers and now gets the Kent State job. So Cody Morgan is on his way to Kent State. And now that is 3 position coaches that have left here for the Bison since the end of the season in Frisco, with David Braun, the defensive coordinator, leaving to go to Northwestern, followed by Noah Pauley, the wide receivers coach, to take the same job at Iowa State, and now Cody Morgan on his way to Kent State. And so Matt Entz has another position to hire before spring ball begins in about a month's time up on the north side of Fargo. So good man. We had Cody on the show this past fall, a guy from Wisconsin, from Iola, Wisconsin, that worked his way up the ladder and now gets a chance at FBS football and Maction at Kent State, and did a good job on the back end of that Bison defense. And now we can officially release him from his responsibilities of stealing my potato chips at Macomb, Illinois. We got to the bottom of that in November, that it wasn't Lou Walker, it was Cody Morgan, who, after the game, I'll share a real quick story. After the game in Frisco, I told him I hadn't opened the bag of chips, since I got the replacement one from Matt Entz that Monday at the press conference, and I said I hadn't opened them. It's been good luck. You guys haven't lost yet since I got them. And he comes right after the game against South Dakota State. So I guess you could open the chips now. So there you go. Good man, and we wish him the best at his new stop at Kent State. From the golf course, the Genesis Invitational happening out at Riviera. Tom Hoge had a heck of a start yesterday. He played early in the morning. He teed off yesterday morning about 9:15 Central Time and started his round the best way he could hope, with a birdie at the first hole. That's a heck of a way to get into a groove. There it was there to get him off to a great start. He would follow that up with a nice birdie putt here at the 10th. If you're making those, man, you're in a nice groove, and that's a heck of a way to get things going. So he made a birdie there at the 10th. That's a nice par save he had at 14. Shoots an opening round of 67. At the end of the first round, he was tied for 6th. He currently stands right now at a tie for 7th, with the golfers out there beginning the second round. Hoge will tee off at the 10th hole beginning at 1:53 Central Time. And right now he sits at a tie for 7th. He is 3 shots back of the lead of Keith Mitchell and Max Homa, who each are at 7 under par. If you're wondering about you-know-who, Tiger Woods, who played late yesterday, is on the course now, is at 1 under par. He's 1 over on the day and a tie for 42nd. He started his round at the 10th hole, made 2 pars and then a bogey at 12. So Tiger is on the golf course there. And I know CBS is hoping for him to make the cut for a ratings bonanza there. We'll see what happens. But Hoagie's off to a real good start, and this is one of the more expensive events, maybe the best way to say it, on the PGA Tour. So top 10 finish here can go a long way to maybe securing another top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings. Right now, he is 22nd overall in the FedEx Cup standings before the tour heads to Florida beginning next week. We'll take a break. We come back. Speaking of Florida, we're heading there with the show. That's where my dad is to get ready for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Hot Mike is back after this on WDAY Extra and InForum.com.
If you'd have went with a Boston, you'd have been living in the garage. I had a Yankee hat on, of course, which I usually almost always do, but she says to me, if I were you, I'd take that hat off. And I looked at look at it to begin with. I ain't taking my hat off. I know where I am. Yeah, right.
You believe anything that guy says? Because I don't.
He said he was going to marry J-Lo, too, remember? Come on. I finally told your mom. I said, there's no sense. Let's just put TVs in the room because I'm only going to wake them up anyway. So
that's how I got a television?
All right, it is that time on a Friday morning. Our show goes everywhere. We've been to Ireland. We've been all over the country. And once again, here in the middle of February, Hot Mike goes to South Florida, where my dad is this week. He has been there all week in anticipation of the Daytona 500 on Sunday. The old man is going to have primo seats. He's spending Jack's college fund by going to the Daytona 500. I had 2 emails that came in that wanted to know if you made it and did you get to see the Super Bowl? Can you so explain what your travel plans on Sunday?
Yeah, we landed 40 minutes early. The pilot kept giving us updates, but we landed 40 minutes early. I got to watch the whole second half on the phone, so it worked out. It was pretty cool.
So you got to see the best part of the game. So there you go.
Yes, we did.
The other email that came in, did your dad win any money on Sunday?
We made a few bucks, not to make up what I bet, though.
Well, I told you. I hope you pounded the over. I told you that. Though we went way over there.
I had Kansas City and the over, but it still didn't make up for what I bet.
And Mahomes did not throw for the amount of yards you were hoping for either, correct?
No, he got under.
Yeah, so there you go.
What are you going to do? It don't always work.
That was a heck of a football game, though.
Yeah, it was a good game. Yeah, right to the end. That's what you want.
So who's going to beat these guys going forward is the question.
Well, I think it's either going to be Cincinnati's going to have to do it.
Well, here's
maybe the Jets.
Yeah, well, they need a quarterback. And who's going to beat Philly? I mean, Philadelphia, they didn't play poorly, I didn't think. They just ran out of time.
I told you, look at Philly's schedule. They didn't play anybody. I can't believe they scored that many points, though. That's awesome.
Well, Hurts is pretty good. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
They are A-OK. One last email, by the way. The biggest highlight of watching your show is Friday when you have your dad on. So there you go. Your viewership, your fan base just keeps growing here.
There you go. That means my check should get bigger.
All right. So you've been in Florida for 5 days. What's going on here? What have you been up to?
I'm in Lake Okeechobee.
Okay.
Did I say that right? Okeechobee. And with my buddies. There's Johnny.
Okay.
How you doing? There's David. How's it going?
Well, I'm glad you're wearing one for the TV show here. I appreciate that. So what are the plans here? Tonight you're going to the racetrack, you told me.
Yep. Right here about an hour. We're leaving for the track, and we'll head up to the truck race tonight.
Okay, so the truck race is tonight.
Not sure about Saturday. Yeah, the truck race 7:30 tonight.
Okay, and the nationwide, right? Is that I forget who sponsors that?
And we're going to tailgate at the track. Huh?
What time does that open?
The track's open now, probably.
No, I meant for tailgating on Sunday. What time can you start doing that?
Yeah. We got to get there early to get a good parking spot. So we'll get there pretty early.
Now, last year you got to go through the pits. Are you going to do that again before the race on Sunday?
No, I haven't done that yet. So
okay,
that's an extra $100. We ain't gonna pay that. We watched them last year from the grandstand. So.
Oh man! Well, Jackman is counting on another shot of the M&M car. I don't know how to tell him that it's not racing this year.
No, they're not going to have it at all this year. So we'll have to come up with a different one.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of colorful cars he'll like to see. I can tell you that. So.
Oh, yeah. Did he like the picture of the gator?
He loved the alligator, and he was fascinated by the iguana that you sent him yesterday. He loved that one, so he couldn't stop talking about that. So
that's a small one. I usually see, I guess.
So we have video from last night, and we're going to play it here since you watched the race.
It was awesome, man.
I got to ask you, so we're watching the race last night. Your buddy Kyle Busch crashed after he got pushed. It seems pushed by Daniel Suarez. What happened there?
Well, that's the way that track is. He just got a little too aggressive with him. That's all. Pushed him a little too hard.
His interview afterwards, he seemed a bit testy. Is that the best way to describe that?
Well, yeah, you know how you have to hit that mute button. You know what that's all about. Make sure you don't swear.
I'm not too far from it. Eric's going to have me out here today for your buddies, so keep him in line.
You better. You never know what I'm going to say.
I'd never seen this before. We have video of this. Justin Haley, the window came out of his car? How does that happen? I've never heard of that before.
Oh, it's happened before. It's a side window. They have to have it in there, and apparently somebody didn't lock it in because it took off.
We're watching it now. How did that happen?
They'll get a big fine out of that for sure.
Who gets fined? That's not his fault, right? It's a pit guy's fault.
Well, yeah, it's the owner gets the fine probably.
Man,
the whole team.
I've never seen that before. I saw that. Like, what happened there? So
it's happened before. So the wind must just catch it just right, or it wasn't hooked in there right. That's all.
So Alec Amarola won the second one. Looked like Connor Daly was the last guy into the field. What did you make of the races last night of the two of them?
Oh, that wasn't too bad. They don't want to wreck the cars. Most of them are already in.
Right.
So that's just like Kyle Busch now is going to have to go to a whole new car
because he wrecked last night.
Right.
Okay.
I doubt they can fix that one. He hit the wall pretty hard.
So how many years? What time is this? How many times have you been now to the race? What number is this?
I think this is either 10 or 11.
Wow. So do you have a thing you have to do before the race or something you've done? It's tradition. I'm not messing with it. I'm going to do again on Sunday.
No, not really. Just walk around all the souvenir trucks and all that. This will be the first time we actually tailgated with everything. Yeah.
How big a deal is that? Is tailgating a big thing at NASCAR races? I didn't know if that's a thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have them all over too. Not like the football games, but it's pretty big.
Now,
but you got to get there early to get a good parking spot, or you'll never get in.
So for where you're sitting, does anybody actually sit? Because I think you told me that everybody stand.
Yeah, well, first part of the race they usually stand up. Yep.
Okay.
And then they go from there. So.
How many around where you normally sit? Like they're hardcore fans. They know what's going on. Or the other ones are just.
It's the whole thing is hardcore fans.
Okay.
Man. You can't. You wouldn't be there. You wouldn't be there if it wasn't.
You want to tell?
Not for the price we pay. You know what I mean?
Okay. Before we go, you want to tell?
Our tickets are $200 a piece.
Oh, what?
You want to?
Holy cow!
Yeah. Tell Jack I'm sorry. I'm spending all his money.
All right. Do you want to tell the story the first time that you went when you brought me? And how we got into the actual racetrack? You want to tell that story quick?
Yeah, well, we didn't even have tickets, and we waited in line till 5 in the morning. At 5 in the morning, and we finally got up there, and we were one of the last ones to get tickets. It was pretty awesome.
And the running to try to get in, like actual running to get into the racetrack, and then
it was crazy.
And then where we sat were wooden bleachers. They're not even there anymore.
Nope, they took them out.
They literally felt like the earth was shaking as the cars came by. I'm 10 years old. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then you didn't see anything. And the next thing you saw, they were in the third turn. So it was.
I'd love to be able to do that again, man. We were so close. It was crazy.
So now that's a full grandstand that's there now, right?
Yep.
So there's no more wooden bleachers anymore, is what you're telling me?
No, they're gone. They took the back grandstands out too. It's just the front now.
Oh, so there's no seating back there at all?
No.
Oh wow.
No, took
How
it
about
all
that?
out.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right.
My bucket list is to get in the infield and watch it from the campers in there. That would be awesome.
How much is that? What are we talking?
Oh, that's a big bucks. You're gonna have to write me a check for that.
Well, yeah, we'll take it out of your hot mic appearance fees. We'll do that. Wants to know who you betting on? Who's winning the race on Sunday?
As long as it's a Chevy, that's all I care about. It's got to be a Chevy to win. And they're on the front row.
Oh man, can you bet there? Can you do that remotely? I'm assuming you're doing.
No, I had to do it. I had to do it at home before I left.
Okay.
Florida don't have it here.
Oh, what? Really? Florida doesn't either. Wow.
I don't think so.
Man, oh man. All right.
I'm signed up for. I can bet as if I'm in.
If you're in New York, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, buddy boy. Well, tell your buddies I said hi. Have a great time. We'll look for you on Sunday. All right.
There they
Tell
are.
them to put a shirt on. We're on television, man. All right. We'll talk to you later.
Man, I love you.
I love you too.
One.
There he goes. My pops
right.
from Daytona on his way to the race coming up tonight. The Truck Series event that's going on at the racetrack, and then on Sunday. We almost had a rated R version there of our dad's appearance there. So I'm glad he's having fun. $200 a ticket. I don't know if I've ever spent more than $100 on anything for a sporting event. Holy cow. But I'm glad he's there. He's going to have a ball, and the race comes up on Sunday. We will take our final break. We'll come back. We'll get you ready for a busy Friday and a huge sporting weekend. We'll do that as we say goodbye right after this on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at InForum.com. Well, we just got done with a report from Florida. Dad said it was hot. He's old. Everything is hot. 41 days out. Opening day. Minnesota Twins. Those jerseys are hideous. I hope they don't wear those for their opener against Kansas City. Wrapping up the show. It's been a fun weekend. We appreciate all of our guests, emails, tweets, everybody for participating in our show this week. Next week, loaded. We are going to be ready to roll. The state hockey tournament will be set for Minnesota on the girls' side. The boys' state hockey tournament in North Dakota will be set. We'll be into the final week of the regular season for the Summit League in basketball. That's just a little bit of the tip of the iceberg that we'll be having on next week's show to get you ready for that. also, knowing we got Daytona this weekend, there is still football this weekend. The XFL season starts tomorrow. And this is, again, the third incarnation of this league with 8 teams that The Rock has put his money where his mouth is on this. And ABC is right on board. ABC, ESPN, and Fox are all in saying, you know what? People want to watch football. We've got it, including ABC WDAY is a game on Sunday. The St. Louis Battlehawks against the San Antonio Brahmas. That's a 2 o'clock Sunday. The Battlehawks actually have former Bison standout wide receiver Darius Shepard is on that roster. Remember, last summer, Darius had a great run in the USFL, earned him a spot in an NFL training camp. He's back playing in the XFL. But, yeah, ABC's got 2 games this weekend. 1 game on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. ESPN has a game in prime time tomorrow night. And then on Sunday night. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. I don't know if people will watch. It seemed like to me, as we were doing this last summer, that people were watching the USFL as it went along. I'll be interested to see if anybody watches this stuff. I am intrigued, by the way, that they're taking away prime college basketball real estate and giving it to the XFL. College hoops can't be thrilled about that. Saturday night in February, that's for ESPN. That's normally a marquee college basketball game. Now it's going to the XFL. That's different. Maybe the best way to describe that. But again, it's all about ratings. I don't know if anybody will watch. We'll see what comes out Monday and Tuesday of next week. Reminder, North Dakota State Wrestling Tournament will wrap up the individual portion of the competition late this afternoon, early evening. We'll have complete highlights and reaction on our news tonight at 6 and 10. The dual portion goes tomorrow up at the Fargo Dome. The EDC hockey tournament resumes today with the loser-out games this afternoon. The semifinals are tonight. And then tomorrow, the state qualifier games and the EDC championship. This is the winner's side of the bracket. These games are happening tonight, Central and North up at Purple Arena in Grand Forks, followed by Red River and North, and then Central and South in the second semifinal, with the winners to advance on to the EDC championship. The losers of those games will go to the state qualifier games to be played tomorrow. We'll figure out the 4 teams that are making it to the state hockey tournament to be played up in Grand Forks beginning Thursday. With the quarterfinal games, you'll see them all live on WDAY Extra. Let's get you ready for what to watch before we get out of here on a busy sports weekend. We mentioned we've got XFL football. The Minnesota Wild play tonight, and boy, do they need a win. And I don't think they're going to get it tonight, facing the best team in their division, the Dallas Stars, who already boat raced them last week. 7 o'clock on Bally Sports North for that one. The Wild have scored 7 goals in 5 games. They're going to need more tonight if they want to beat Dallas. That's tonight on Bally Sports North. The Genesis Invitational second-round coverage begins at 3 o'clock on the Golf Channel. Tom Hoagie may be featured in that, depending on how well he plays. Hoagie right now sits in a tie for 8th at -4. He is 4 shots off the lead of Keith Mitchell. Tiger Woods playing right now on the golf course. He's in a tie for 43rd. His round will be completed by the time they hit the air later today. And as we mentioned, UND hockey back in action at home tonight at the Ralph. They'll take on St. Cloud State. That's at 7 o'clock, nationally televised on the CBS Sports Network for that one, as the Fighting Hawks will take on the Huskies. That's what to watch tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got Bison women's basketball here on WDAY Extra. Oral Roberts and North Dakota State. Early start time tomorrow as well. It's a noon tip here on the X, so don't miss that. Monster game there for the Bison women after the big win last night. Can they get the home sweep and stay in a tie for second place? They're rooting for Kansas City to knock off UND, and how the Roos played, we'll see. And also, don't forget, on Sunday, we've got Bison wrestling, NDSU taking on South Dakota State. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock there on the X. Thanks to our guests today, to Ryan Kraft, Logan Campbell, Brad Schlossman, of course, to my dad. If you missed any of our show, you can podcast it later today at InForum.com. Everybody have a great weekend. Get out there and enjoy it. We'll be back on Monday to recap it all on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra at InForum.com.